All right, guys, welcome to another podcast at Pro for Contractors, where we go behind the scenes, behind the trenches, under the veil, under the hood, to bring you guys amazing people that are part of a journey of making their business better, making themselves better. I got two amazing guests, and I'm going to introduce them in just a second. But if you're listening in on this podcast, this series is all about families and different aspects of families. People that own contracting companies. We've had some of the podcasts, if you listen to them recently, where there's the husband, the wife, the daughter. The previous one I just did was the father and son. This is Debbie and Joe from GMC Electric, and they're two amazing people that I've been very fortunate in having as part of this family. And I just want to welcome you guys. Maybe you can introduce yourself, Debbie and Joe. Have at her.
Well, I'm Joe Correa, owner and founder of GMC Electric, and my wife here is my co-partner and business manager of the business.
Nice.
Hi, my name is Debbie. We've been working together for the last 18, 19 years. Been in business for about 20, and it's been interesting, a lot of difficulties, but we have really completely rebounded over the last few years since we've been with PFC.
I think you guys have almost been, it's almost been like an internal revolution. Like you've redefined your business, you redefined to a certain degree the story, the way you want your life to be, and you've taken action on it. I'm just going to highlight here as far as some of the key things we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about with Debbie and Joe about how it was a long journey before they were able to get solutions around their business. And then we're going to be talking about solutions around their time, around their team, around the balance of business and life. We're going to talk about mindset. At a high level, though, like even going back in time, let's just look at it like from a numbers perspective. When we first started, and how long has it been, roughly?
3 years.
Okay, so when we first started 3 years ago, I don't expect you guys to be exact, but just give us a rough gauge of like where were things at from a financial perspective.
On the financial side, we're just barely making through. We're always playing catch up, especially with our banks, and overdrafts and max out credit cards. So the profits were not there. We're just getting by living on overdraft.
Yeah.
Like my salary was on overdraft. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sales were, as they're coming in, they're going out the window. So were the profits at the same time.
Right.
We never catch up.
Problem is, we're all good electricians or tradesmen, but businessmen, no one's actually put us in the right spot and lead us in the right place, right?
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing: it's I've said this, and some of these topics get repeated because I think they need to be repeated. There's something to be said about being a hard worker. Yeah, like we take Debbie, you take pride in being a hard worker, right?
I do.
Right. I mean, Joe, you too, correct?
Yeah.
I do, right? I mean, I remember my dad very clearly, many times driving down the road. And God love you, Dad, if you're listening in on this. I doubt it, okay? Dad's like 86. But, I thought he was judging people. And I think he was, right? Like, oh, man, look at that bum, clean up your yard, lazy, right? That word lazy, right? So think tradespeople, and especially owners of trades companies, one thing that they don't lack is their work ethics of putting in the time. And like when we had started, tell us about, how much time were you putting in on the business, guys?
Well, me personally, I was drowning. I was more here at work than I was at home.
Yeah.
So family time was limited. Yeah, either eating alone for dinner, everyone's already in bed, or they've eaten already. So yeah, I was maxed out. I was still on the tools at the time, still
Trying to juggle both.
trying to juggle both. So wearing multiple hats. Let's just say that. But
and really in balance too, right? Like,
of course, let's just say we had no structure.
No, yeah.
Right.
Right.
I had a vision, but to get to that vision was cloudy.
Our biggest thing was, we need more. We need more sales. We need more, and we couldn't figure out what, we kept getting more, but yet we kept going backwards, and there was something missing, a link, and there was something, we never really stopped to think about, okay, what is not working? And when you made a stop, and then it completely changed everything. When we started with you, it was literally, we felt like starting a whole new company.
Well, let's just get back up a bit. It got to a point that I said, either pack up.
Well, yeah, it got to a point. It was either, then
pack up
after
and start over, and then, or go to a Saturday morning and meet this guy that was telling everybody to pack up and and go work for someone else, or listen to what I got to say. Yeah. So I stuck around and I listened to what he had to say.
Yeah. I think it was.
Yeah,
and
I want. Yeah, exactly. I think I know that guy. I mean, I want to put context to that. Okay. So I really mean that when I'm talking. If you're listening in and you're listening to this podcast, that's why I don't give out my address. If you're not willing to make the appropriate changes and listen to insights from people, I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I'm just, we specialize in profit contractors, helping contractors, right? I've been there, I've done it, literally. I'm still an industrial controls licensed electrician. I had my own automation company, blah, 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 okay? I went through 10 years of hell until I got hit enough with a 2x4, where the marriage was not, like, it was going to go in a direction I didn't want it. And I was like, something's got to change here. So I was forced to pause, okay? But here's the thing. Pack it up, okay, or fix it. Either you're going to realize that you can't, listening on this, that what you've done up to now has not worked. You guys know I do a little bit of cursing and swearing on these things, but whatever. Like, get fucking real with your situation. You guys, God love you, did 16 years in prison.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that?
Oh, just doing what we knew we were doing, but not doing it right. Right.
Right. Well, 16 years of hell, though, right? Like that invisible prison, right? Like, 16 years of not being home, 16 years, Debbie, of you having to do a lot of the heavy lifting with the family. True? Like, let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. Many years. Dad was never home. I pick up everything that affects your family, it affects our relationship. And, and it's funny that you say, it's like being hit with a 2x4. Sometimes you got to hit really rock bottom, like rock. And when you do, sometimes that's your sign to say, shit or get off the pot. That's it. When we were hit, we were struggling. Then when I got sick, when I was diagnosed with cancer, it was rock. You couldn't get it any lower than that. So when we came back, when everything was good, then it kind of was an awakening and say, look, now that was the first time we actually stood together and said, okay, we need to stop and figure out what's going on. If we can't figure this stuff out, I told them, we're done. Because life is too much stress. And that stress, I believe, it led me down a very difficult path because I always stressed about the business and other stresses in life. And that's not good internally, even though I'm kind of like a happy-go-lucky, but I internalized it more than I ever thought because it was hard, and I didn't feel proud.
Yeah.
Because we were constantly struggling. And I knew we were so good and loved what we did. So we constantly had the passion there, but the passion doesn't always lead to profit, right?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't lead to progress, okay?
Progress, yeah.
Right. And here's my thing, okay? So I'm just going to wrap it up as far as, not this podcast, I'm going to wrap up my point of like when Joe's in a room with a bunch of other contractors, and I get up on this stage. It's Skilled Trades College in Toronto, right? All these great business owners. And I said something, I can't remember exactly, but something along the lines of like, listen, you're not fucking serious about making some changes, honestly, and being open to somebody else helping you because you haven't been able to solve these problems, then get the fuck out. Because here's the reality. And I didn't want to, I was trying not to come across in a way that like get out in sense of like give it up. No, like stop being a business owner.
Yeah.
And as an industrial controls electrician, Joe, as you being an electrician, with the skill set we have, fuck dude, we could easily be making $150 a year being a project manager for a large contracting company. Is it true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said I can make more money working for someone else.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's not bullshit though, right?
No.
It's true. Okay, so if you are not willing to truly take on the reality that your identity has to shift, that to become a champion CEO, a true owner of your business, being a great tradesperson is not the solution. Putting in more time is not the solution. Thinking you're going to be able to figure it out on your own is not the solution. It's not worth 16 years of like hitting your head up against the wall. I'm just saying, okay? I did it. You guys did it. If you're listening in, it doesn't have to be that way. But if you're not going to take down the path, hey, we're going to talk about some strategies here. Guys, everybody listening on this podcast, this is, I seriously think I'm going to call it the No Bullshit Contracting podcast or something, okay? The No Bullshit Podcast for Contractors, something like that. Because I'm going to give you some tactics that these guys have used so that you guys can use them. But if you're not going to take this stuff and use it, fuck it. Stop. Because you doing it the way you're doing it, it's not helping you, and it's not going to help anybody around you.
At the end of the day, people are just scared to ask for help.
Why do you think that is, Joe?
It's an ego thing.
Yeah. Ego, intimidation, I don't know. It's just reaching out. I never reached out before. Didn't even know it existed anyways.
You don't know
who to contact.
And you don't know who to trust.
True.
At the end of the day, there are people out there that say they can help you. Case in point, we did come across someone. I had that feeling. It's like, I don't feel good. So you have to be able to, if someone like you, Andrew, that came into our lives, but you said, okay, we can help you do this, but you were supported by showing us what you can do. But at the end of the day, it has to come on us, because when you're struggling or if you need help, problem is a lot of people that we've come across, they want the easy fix. Listen, it didn't take you overnight to get to where you are. So it was a struggle for us in the beginning. It's like, oh my God, this is more work than, because we had to run the business and learn new systems and change things. But you know what? Our kids were like, Mom, it's like you're in school. Yeah, I was in school again. We had to reshift everything. But you get out what you put in. I truly believe that we accelerated, because I remember talking to you, we went full force. I said, I'm not waiting.
I love that. Like it.
Well, remember, we kept asking, what else?
And then we slowed down to speed up, which I really take to heart now.
Yeah.
You guys are like,
we did do a lot in the beginning with you. We wanted to get out of our hole and just go over that huddle and get over on the top of the cliff. We're there almost. We're getting there slowly. Yeah. We've done a lot.
Getting there slow. Okay, so let's just put things a little bit into perspective. Okay, just give some rough numbers, not anything exact, but give some sort of rough. Like you were basically, let's just say broke, right?
Minus in the
right. You're in the negative. So guess what? You're broke.
Negative. We were writing our overdraft.
Right.
And within 3 months to 6 months, we, for the first time in the bank, we have never been negative since. So within 3 to 6 months, by time we actually paid off our overdraft, paid off all of our bills, and we got an additional about $100,000 in the bank within a few months, and that had never happened. Over the interim has just
exactly totally. So hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's just say we don't have to get specific, but hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. Everybody listening in, okay? To a lifestyle of being able to go on trips.
Yeah.
Right. So before we get into some of the other, results that you guys have gotten, let's I'm a pretty ethical guy. That means I guess my perspective of ethical is that if I say I'm going to do something, I got to do it. So I'm going to do it right now. Which those people listening in, I'm going to give you a little tip. Okay. Now, when I give you these tips, do not think, even though they might be like, oh my God, that can give me a quick win really fast. I'm giving it to you so that you have a realization that these three people are not full of shit. Okay? That's one of the reasons. Second reason is that you can actually go and do something with it, and you can get a result. It's better than what you're getting right now. But the third thing is that I want you to realize that quick fixes is not going to solve the problem. Quick fixes can give you the space so that you have the time, or you have the confidence, or you have the willpower to know that, hey, if that's a quick fix over there, then these bigger things that are strategic that I got to put time in they're worthy of my time.
Yeah.
Okay? If we start off, if I give everybody listening in a big strategy, and you're like, oh my God, then that's what you're going to do, right? Is that true? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to, as my dad would do, let's get it going, okay? And for those listening, that was me, fictitiously spitting in my hands. Okay, so.
You're being Andrew.
That's me being Andrew, right? Okay, so I'll never forget when we first started, Joe and Debbie, but let's look at Joe. Joe was working night and day. Literally, guys, night, day, morning, weekends. So those listening in, one of the biggest challenges all of you have is your time. Now, there's a whole bunch of these quick little wins, but let's just talk about one that you can relate to. So I'll never forget, I go, Joe, where are you spending your time? Actually, I'm going to give you a few of them. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, we got to do a time audit. Let's see where you're spending your time. So I'm going to spin ahead. And a time audit for those listening in is there's a process of doing this. If you want some of these tips and tricks and tools, guys, click the link below. Okay. If you want to become an elite contractor, you can click below and get some more insights on it. But never forget. So Joe does this time audit. And I'm looking at this piece of paper and I can see Debbie. Debbie's like, she'd just be like shaking her head. She's like trying to, keep her mouth quiet to just like go through this process. And I go, Joe, how much time do you spend quoting? Joe's like, I'm a coach, like 20, 25 hours a week. Okay, coach. So I said, just let me ask you a question. Who are you quoting? What do you mean? I'm quoting people that want us to do work for them. No, I get that, dude. But can you tell me who are some of these people? Do you remember this, Joe? And I said, so Joe, you got the list? Yeah. I said, how many of those people have actually given you work? And Joe went, well, how many of them have given you work? What happened there, Joe?
No, I'm just price checking me. That's all they were using me for, just price checking.
So everybody listening in, I tell me if I'm right or wrong, but it was like 10 to 15 hours a week of Joe over like year on year, because he's in such the tornado, never took a moment, like Debbie said, to pause and take a look back. Giving people prices that weren't giving them business. True, Joe?
That's true. I was hungry for work and always trying to find work, but didn't pay attention to who's asking for the prices.
How quick were you, Joe, and going, yeah, hey, you guys? I'm not quoting. Instantly. Okay? So everybody listening in, it wasn't really a magic wand, because Joe had to go and do a time audit, had to see where he's putting in his time. Because understand, everybody listening in, there is a recipe. Right, Debbie?
Yes.
There's an order in which you do things. And everybody's listening going, what do you mean? Well, I'm going to use this as an example. You see, if Joe had not done a time audit, then Joe and I and Debbie would not have been asking the right questions. Mm-hmm. And we wouldn't have realized that Joe was putting in over 20 hours a week on quoting. And then we wouldn't have been able to realize that, wait a second, out of the 20, there's like 10 or 15 hours of people that are just a waste of his time. So everybody thinking, if I had just went right after going, who do you quote? Joe would have went, these guys, and it probably would have led to nothing. So if you're listening in, building a business, there's a recipe. Each of these strategies that we talk about is a recipe. There's an order. There's a reason why you do this first, then you do that first, then you do this first, because it allows you to get results. What would you have to say to that, Debbie?
Well, and it makes you, again, we all want to be busy, and we always think the busier the better. But But in order to fix something, you really need to stop. And by doing that audit, it really forces you to analyze what you really do. You can be doing a lot of busy stuff and going, but oh, is that what I do all day? Because sometimes you just forget. You just get busy doing stuff. And by Joe doing an audit, I doing an audit, we really got to we were able to hone in and say, what are we using our time? Where? And be able to fix where the issues were.
It's pretty much using a bird's eye view and just looking down and seeing everything that I do in the business and see where am I using my time efficiently. And I was using most of my time on quoting, which wasn't efficient.
But I think sometimes as business owners, you're so proud and excited about doing your business that you forget sometimes because you don't have really a boss. And whereas that forces you, I want this report, I want this. You kind of go, no, I don't have time for that. Whereas when you're with a group like yours, it makes you realize you need to look at your reports. You need to look at even doing the audit. That's a report.
Yes,
and
it is.
So then we can look back and analyze where you're good, where you're not so good, where you need to change.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know what?
But you don't think that way when you're in the business.
After
you really step out.
After joining Profit for Contractors, I got to learn a lot more, know about my numbers, right? As long as I made some money at the job, you know what, Bob's your uncle, and not knowing that money I made is already gone. So we do have our Monday meetings, and we make sure how much we've made, where we are, and where we're going to by Friday.
Oh my God, you just triggered something. This is going to be good. Oh my God. By the way, everybody listening in on this podcast, prior to the podcast, we have a little chat, okay? And I used to put some structure at the beginning of this podcast. I wanted to, and God love my team, right? Trying to put structure, and I'm like this wild stallion. I need structure, but I need to be able to run, right? So we're just going with this. I love it. So I'll never forget the day. So everybody listening in, one of the things you need to learn, right, Debbie, Joe, is something called your break-even margin. Mm-hmm. Your break-even margin is directly related to you being able to look at your financials and go, what information do I need to gather from my financials so I know what percentage, okay, that I need to add to, what margin do I, not markup by the way, what margin do I need to put on my quote to just cover the costs of running this business, let alone making any money. So I'll never forget the day that Debbie and Joe were on a call with me. And this has to do with mindset as well. I really want to, this is a good one. And our belief system, okay? Around what we can charge people and what people are willing to pay. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I get on a call with them, like, Coach, our profits are going through the roof. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking at these, because, we look at your financials, we're looking and go, well, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, I'm like, hey, we're pretty good here at PFC, but man, this is really good, right? Like, what the hell? And then I said, can you guys explain to me? Okay, go ahead, Deb, you tell the story. What happened?
So what happened was, when we worked at our break even, for whatever reason, I made a slight mistake. I calculated it with using the higher number than I should have.
That's right.
To say we priced everything at that very high margin. And so we priced everything at that margin, and we priced all the material, and we didn't have any issues with
people's price. People liked our prices
with our pricing. And so all of a sudden it was like a snowball. You priced a little bit and it kept rolling and rolling, and before you knew it, it's like, oh, how is this all? So we're actually making a lot more than what we should have been pricing, but at the same time, we were able to.
So
we did it.
We're doing less projects, but be more profitable.
Okay, everybody listen on that. So there's a couple of key things I want everybody listening in to get out of this. Number one, stop telling yourself a story around what people are willing to pay. Their mistake, by the way, I'm just giving you my memory of it. It was almost double of what. So we set the break-even margin. Here's what, if you put this on here, you'd make zero money, but at least you wouldn't lose any. You guys are like, right, okay. So guys, then you're going to take your financials, You're going to do this. You're going to put it into the equation. Here's right because you guys had these we gave you this template. Use this, fill it in, blah blah blah. And so and hey guys, we want to put an extra whatever that number is here that we come up with. We want to put like an extra 20 points on it so that our goal for your net profit at the end of the year is that you're going to be making 20 points. So you guys are like, yeah. So I'm like, it's not 20. It's like, wait a second. It's like 30. Wait a second. It's like 34. Wait a second. It's like 40. What is happening? And so one of the mindset shifts, guys, is that people are willing to pay for your services a lot more than what you think. Mm-hmm. The person that's holding you back predominantly from you making what it is that you're worth, who is it?
Yourself.
Yep.
And that's how we felt. We felt like we weren't worthy, like as much work we put into it. We always felt like now we know what we charge. We stand and we get compliments from clients because like, wow, you guys we show that we care and we do our best.
Let's just think, people, we all as trades, you got a customer coming, oh, come on, you can drop up $1,000. That $1,000, $100,000 at the end of the year. So
there's no more of that.
That's a lot of money to drop off a job at $1,000. So that's things you don't think of. It happens all the time. Oh, come on, you can drop off.
We used to do it.
Well,
you're in a tornado.
Yeah,
right?
we used to do it. You want to get that job.
You want to get a job, okay, you drop it. You drop your pants.
So we can walk away.
And then, but not knowing your numbers. Once you know your numbers, no. Now, I get it now. I get people now coming, I'll be honest with you, who goes, oh, we find your price a little high. I said, you know what? My price might be high, but it's what my business run. There's always someone out there cheaper, and there will be someone even more expensive than me. And by all means, you're more welcome to shop around.
It's a quality of work and a service.
Love it. Also how you deliver your message though, right? Like you deliver a professional quote. You explain to the client why you're charging what you're charging. You learn through us to go, hey, if somebody says it's a lower price, you got to get them in an ethical way to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, think about this for a second. If it's that much lower, and you're dealing with electrical, which your freaking place might burn down, what are they missing? Have they detailed the quote? Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, by the way, anybody listening, you can use this as a script. Listen, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, I don't know if you're a fit for us. Yeah. I don't know if we're a fit for you. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is that we break things down in this order so that you have absolute clarity on why we're doing what we're doing. Mrs. Jones, if somebody's lower priced than us, then that's fine. You have every right to go with them. And maybe, again, we're not a fit. But you got to really ask yourself, what is it that they're missing out? What is it that they're not doing? What corners are they freaking trying to come around, cheap, that's going to affect you long term? Like, is it true, guys?
No,
we've had people say, oh, we can do the same. Okay, look, compare. We break down everything. Make sure they're licensed. Make sure they have their certificates. Make sure you ask all these questions because this is your home. You want to feel safe. So when they go back to the other client, contractor, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll get it done. Well, what's yeah? It's exactly, once they can't match it, then we've had them come back and say, I feel safe with you.
I tell you, we both have we ask the same questions. Do they have a liability? WSIB? Are their staff trained?
Make sure.
Because at the end of the day, it's the homeowner's responsibility for all this.
And once you feel safe, they will come back to us and they will
Are they actually a licensed electrical contractor? You and me know both. There's a lot of vans out there with no lettering on it, and they're electrical companies. Are they really? Yeah.
Well, hence why in the membership site we have the authority checklist, which is like give the checklist to your client or your prospect to go, here are the freaking top questions you should be asking an electrical contractor. All those things that Joe said and even more. By the way, who's the one person that can answer all those questions? You guys, okay? So coming back to what we were talking about before, this is a huge insight for everybody. You're able to know what you could, how to price jobs profitably every single time. As a matter of fact, by accident, you're able to realize that you charge a lot more than what you were charging, Mm-hmm. Secondly, even going one step prior to that, Joe was actually now able to spend the right amount of time, take that 15 hours and spend some of those hours to learn and spend time with Debbie, who's like amazing with numbers, right? But you guys, Debbie gathered the info, true? Then you guys sat down, you had the time. How'd they have the time? Well, we have no time. Well, no, they had time because there's 15 extra hours on the table. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you guys recall this. I said, Joe, those 15 extra hours, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take half of them and we're going to put them over here. You were like, for what? For your family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need 15 hours, dude. Is it true? I said, we just need 3 to 5 hours a week you working on this stuff.
Yep.
And you put that on there. Okay, so first thing he did, guys, they filtered fast.
Yeah.
Number 2, they determined what to price jobs at to make money. And if somebody doesn't want to deal with them at that, then they're not going to deal with them. Why? Because there's no point in you guys landing work, everybody listening in, if it's not profitable. Number 3, okay, what did this lead to? This led to them, guys, listen to this. This is huge. Your sales dropped, I think it was like by 20% for the first little bit. For those first 3-4 months, it dropped by like 20%. And your profits went up by like exponential. True?
Yes.
100%.
So what if a contractor said right now they're listening in, bullshit. What do you mean? You can do less sales, make more profits. What would you say?
It's not bullshit.
No. We walked it. We did it. And we're thriving.
But you forgot one more key. Knowing that you have D customers and get rid of them.
It's huge.
Yeah, just filtering.
And that's what the ones that
Do you remember what D stands for? What I call them?
for me, I call them deadbeats.
Yes, deadbeats. Right? Seriously, deadbeat. So guys,
Profit.
And once you realize that, I truly believe it's a mind shift.
it is.
And once you know that, when you're dealing with those clients, you're like, you know what, this is what we can do. And you start to talk, you talk different, they feel it. And a lot of those deadbeat the ones that were D clients, all of a sudden became C, B. Because if they really wanted us, they needed to change, not us. So all of a sudden we had the power to not be like begging for work. If they wanted quality and caliber and trust into an electrical contractor, they knew they had to change their game or we're out. We've actually told them, sorry, I can't work with you any longer because we're not on the same page. Some of them have turned around and become better, and some of them left. And some of them have left and come back because they know somewhat, they don't trust anyone else. But now we're in control. That's the difference. All of a sudden we're more confident and we stand by what we can do, what we're doing. So that was kind of enlightening too.
You know, I equate it to, again, Debbie, love it. I equate it to what I call is we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah.
Or communication is the response you get. Like,
Yeah.
what? Well, if you communicate to people, hey, I'm the lowest. Well, guess what? You're going to get the lowest. What does that mean? The lowest profit. That means making no money. We are the best. We deserve to get paid for the best. You don't want, oh, really? You are? Well, yeah, we do all these things. Oh, wow. Now I'm this client. I never thought about that. Understand, everybody listening in, it is your responsibility, Debbie and Joe and everybody listening in, for us to educate the client. They're not freaking drywallers. They're not sheet metal guys. They're not plumbers. They're not electrical. They're not. So if they're not aware of stuff that they need to know that you're doing, that the competition's not doing, who's responsible for that? You are. Just like it's our responsibility, proper contractors, to go, guys, stop. Here's the things that you've got to do. Now, I'm not going to do it for you, but here's the things. Here's why. And you guys go, that makes sense. Then you take it, you apply it, and then you benefit. And then we do the next and the next, right? Make sense? Okay.
No, and I'll just say one more thing. When you start associating yourself with intelligent people that are in the same with your mentality or thinking and all that, and even contractors, like there was contracts I wanted to work for before, they wouldn't give a day of light because you think JMC is a small little company and blah blah blah. When you start associating with those companies and contractors that were giving you a chance, these other guys said, whoa, JMC is not JMC who I thought they were.
Different caliber.
So now they're contacting me, hey, I need you to price me this project. And now we got new clients.
It's the friends to hang around with.
Right?
Not
It
only
is, right?
personally, but business-wise too.
Right? So it all changes, when people start seeing, people say, oh, I didn't know you were that big. Well, I'm not, but we are very efficient. So it worked out good. So it's good.
I love it. Okay, so let's. So we covered off. Just those listening in, we covered off on the time side, covered off on like the pricing side, and like our mental mindset of how we're going to look at ourselves and look at our time and the value of our time. And let's talk a little bit about the team. So one of the big challenges people have is, and you're all listening and going to go, yeah. I can't get my guys to do it like I do it, or I can't get the guys to do what I need them to do or perform. And the other part of the equation is like, there's nobody good out there. I can't find anybody. So let's talk a little bit about the beginning of that journey. Yep, go for it, Joe.
First things first, job description. You need to know where they stand in their position they're in.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the consequence of people leaving you because of this lack of communication.
Yeah. So I mean, again, coming back when we were starting this, I think before we had met you. Anyway, we were.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And anyway, after going through cancer, coming back, and it was like restarting. And I guess the guys were feeling a little like, is this really like? I mean, they didn't feel secure. And even though Joe was working and he had work lined up, we had one guy that left, and then another guy, and the other guy was like, oh yeah, I have a job, and they have 2 years worth of work. And then Joe would be like, I have work too. And that was when we found that, when we came across that for the first time, and then when we met up with you, what we learned was we were keeping everything to ourselves. So
we didn't share the information.
We didn't share anything with the guys.
Progress the profit board.
Yeah. So then we did the board, and I'll never forget, it was the week going into Christmas. We put it up, and the guys are like, "This is what's coming up in the new year," and they're like, "What?" And so now that board, even coming back now after pandemic, the board is full. So when the guys came back 2 weeks ago, they're like, "The board's full. Wow, that's a lot of work." So now that board is their way of knowing the business is good. They can kind of tell like it's coming. They can see things move. That's their confidence. If we had that information previously, then that's ensuring the guys, we are good, we are solid, right? But not telling them and thinking anything and keeping it all in your head. We know what's going on, but they have to be told.
And you lost employees because of that.
We did.
Right. So everybody listening in, if you're thinking to yourself, I'm just going to keep all this stuff to myself, wrong. Okay. You've got to share insights with your team, letting them know what's coming up. Not only that, guys, again, if you want to get some of these insights, it's called the Progressive Profit Board. We've got a template, again, that you guys can get complimentary. Click the link below and get it. But here's the reality. And by the way, it's a whiteboard. It's not some software system. No bullshit. You can't tell me, oh, I can't afford it. I don't know how to use it. I need a computer. No, it needs no power. All right. It's there whether or not the freaking lights go out or not, right? Yeah. Everybody can use it. Everybody can understand it. And it allows you to get your team to see what's coming up, but it also allows you to use it as a communications tool so your team can give you updates. You can communicate to them. Like, there's no way that you can, right, Joe and Debbie, you can't communicate this shit, even if you wanted to, without having that.
And it's interactive for them because not only, it's not just us, we put the jobs on the board, the progress, what if we're waiting for a permit, if it's complete, it's up to them now. It's an interactive board. Did they come in and say complete, or we're waiting for this piece? So then they're putting that information on the board. We're all on the same page. So all of a sudden, their board is theirs too, to use.
Yeah, I almost look at it like, and I don't know where I come with this shit, but and by the way, a progress to profit board. Everybody listening in, oh, he's just talking about a job board. No, I'm not. The difference between a job board and a progress to profit board, and here's where my analogy comes in. A progress to profit board is a freaking list. Here's the work we've got. A progress to profit board is basically, it's like the playing field, okay? It's like you have this field and you got the 10-yard, the 20, the 30, the 40, 50, and you can literally see the jobs progressing down the field to what? Profitability.
Yes. And the jobs only come off the board once they're invoiced. So I won't miss invoicing that job. Because once it's complete, I check it off. Once it's checked off, I know it's invoiced and it's erased.
But not only that,
So it really controls us.
Cash flow.
Yes.
But it allows the team to be interactive with the business. Right? They're not just, we got to remember at the end of the day, they're out there working so we can make some money.
Yes.
So we got to give them some hands up, accountability, and support. So if they see that the business cares about them, they're going to work for the business harder.
Totally.
Right?
They feel appreciated.
Yeah. Right. Here's a little tip, everybody. 8 players. And if you're an owner of a contracting business, the odds are, more than not, I'm just saying, and Debbie, you're freaking so an A++, like next level player. But from a tradesperson's perspective, no, it's true. But from a tradesperson's perspective, most owners that own a contracting company were a tradie. Like they were on the tools. Most of the tradies that become owners, they were some form of a Gretzky. Really, really good. I'm not being cocky, but man, I can still fucking build automation lines like fuck really good. Okay, it was Joe. You're still fucking probably amazing electrician, but guess what? Remember, you guys listening in, any of the jobs that you quit. Think about it. I remember the jobs I quit, and it went something like this: fucking guy doesn't deliver the material on time. It's so disorganized. I drove all the way out to Creemore. I don't have the right parts. Customers yelling at me. What the this place is a gong show. See, A players, am I right, Joe? Yeah. A players do not want to play on that field. Because why? The owner is setting them up for failure. I'll say it again. A players do not want to be playing on the field where the coach on the side, the owner, is giving them plays or no plays such that the A players like, I'm an A player, and you're setting me up to lose. True?
100%.
So then they'll quit.
Yeah.
Or the other option, they become like the D players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now let's talk about hiring people, finding people.
Mm-hmm.
How's that changed for you? As far as we call it the bench warmers.
Well, now we got guys actually wanting to come work for us, and guys, A players from different teams, different companies coming knocking on their door.
And hey, some are waiting.
And some are waiting. Like we just hired a new guy this year. This week, and he's from another company. You pick up the crumb. He was good. I know him from past.
He checked us out. So he said, check out. No, I already follow you guys. I already checked you out.
Yeah, he's already been following.
He's heard about us.
Where though? Where? Come on. Social media.
Instagram, Facebook, our website, the jobs that we do. We do things with the guys. We go for breakfast. We've taken them to a Rogers game. We worked at really fun, So by posting that, even though it seems so small, last year we did a barbecue at the back of the shop, and you know what? He sees this, and a lot of times is when you have good people. But when the company starts to go really like structured and like we're very focused, they even excel more. We have good employees that have excelled just as quickly as we've excelled with PFC. They're right behind us. They're excelling too because they see the drive that we have. And there's systems and they thrive on it. Even our clients have seen it.
And let's go back, okay? Just we don't need to dwell too much longer in that space, but I remember it coming out of your mouths because I hear it all the time. There's nobody good out there. We can't find anybody. And I remember saying to you, the people that we're starting out with will not be the same players that we end up with. Not all of them. Yeah. And the people that we're going to attract are going to be people that you had only dreamed of attracting. And the goal is we create such a great business that we attract A players to the point that we have bench warmers. And now you guys are like, it's true.
Yeah. And our son went to school. It's not even just the environment. Even when your name starts to get more and more out there of people like working here, people want to come work here now. Our son went to school doing his apprenticeship. And when he said, well, I work for GMC, people are like, oh, you work for GMC? Really? So even this younger generation, It's all social media. They
Yeah.
see, they hear.
Look, who's a perfect salesman for recruiting employees? Your existing employees,
Yeah.
right? They're the ones going to promote. Look, JMC, they take care of us. Blah blah blah, right? We've got benefits. We got this. We got that. You know what I mean? They're the one that's selling the business out there for recruiting more employees, and that's what happens.
Now, why would they want to do that?
Because they like where they are, and they want to bring
They
A
want to
players
work
to the
with A
team,
players.
right?
Everybody listening in. This is a paradigm shift for lots of you. And now I'll tell you why. I get it. I've been there. They've been there. You got people working for you. You're pissed off. You're frustrated. They don't show up on time. You give them instructions. They don't follow through. They have a good week, a bad week. You can't go away on vacation, and you're all freaking paranoid and freaked out. You come back. If you're listening, you're probably going, holy fuck, yeah, that Andrew guy's in my head again. Okay? You come back from vacation. If you're lucky to take vacation, if you take off a week, it takes you a month. They freaking pick up from all the fucking fires that you got to put out when you come back. Right, guys?
Yep.
Now let's move into this around what have been some of the impacts of some of these things. I want to talk about the family and things of that nature. So let's talk about this very first vacation. Where remember you guys getting ready for it. I'm like, okay, we got to communicate we got to put somebody with the white hat on. I mean, somebody's got to lead this team while you guys are away. And you guys are like, okay.
We just got started with you, and we literally, it was going a week after going into Christmas, the holidays. And then we said, okay, well, we have to give them directions. So we did the job descriptions, which is in your website, tweak it to our own company. Joe sat down with who he felt that would pick up,
We pick up the pace. I sat down with him and look, this is what I expect from you. And so then I asked him what his 5-year goal would be, right? So then giving him a little structure. Then so he sat down, he looked at it, read it, he understood it. I asked him to sign it, and blah blah. And then he told me where his 5-year would like to be in the business. And then we went from there. Then I asked him, would you consider being a project manager? He goes, you know what? I'd rather stay. If you want to give me the position as a foreman, I'll stay as a foreman. I'm not ready there yet, which is great. Then I am not putting him into a position he's not ready for and to fail, right?
But when we went on vacation, because he was listed, he totally understood what his role was. We left, and he was like, he took it like to the nth degree. Took care of the clients, contacted them, emailed them. Joe took care of this. He literally, that 2 pieces of paper was like his little Bible. And he said, because we trusted him and because he understood what his role was, he took it to the next level. After that time, that when Joe gave him the description, he became a different person.
And that's just him. Then
All the guys
I
did
sat
after.
down with all the guys, apprentices, journeymen, electricians, sat down with them, gave them, they all read, they all understood. That made everyone on my team excel.
Yeah, it did.
I'm sorry, it did. They all excelled, they all knew what to expect, and they had a path to go to, right? And I'm no looking back, everyone's doing great, so no complaints.
Yeah. And
I don't babysit anymore. I don't call, where are you? Would you need me? Do you need anything? They all take care of, they call, if it's a journeyman, he calls the electrician or calls the foreman. And then if there's a real problem, the foreman will call me.
Well, it's a hierarchy. We talked about the hierarchy of communication, right? So we set the organizational structure. For those of you listening, you're like, oh my God, this is a lot of stuff. It's good if it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of like, oh my God, I got to do that. Then again, take action. We'll talk about that in a little bit more, but like, you've got to do things differently, guys. If you're listening on this going, oh my God, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this, you don't have to do it alone, okay? Like, you guys were able to come back, and then let's talk about some of the other things, right? Let's talk about some of the other areas that you were able to, I love seeing your journey of, I'll just call it as it is. And maybe it's because you weren't on Facebook, but I think this isn't so much the case, but you guys started getting your freedom back. And there's 3 core things I talked to you guys about. Being a business owner, we want to get more control. We want to get more freedom, live the lifestyle that we want. We want to be able to make the money and have the wealth that we want. It's going to be different for everybody. But tell us about some of the things that you guys have been able to do, having the profits and the money, tell us about some of the toys, some of the adventures you've been on.
I got to pay off your mortgage first. But no, we got.
How's that feel though? Honestly.
Well, it is a big stress relief. You know what I mean? Okay, I still have my shop mortgage, but at least my house personal, you know, to get one thing off, pay your bills on time, everything else.
Well, we did, we did a lot of traveling, you know, afterwards. And because we had the systems in place, we walked away a 3-week vacation, which we deserved, and we did it. Mind you, but our guys knew who was in charge. There was structure, and we walked away and not have an issue. So that one year we did quite a bit of traveling. So, you know, and making profits, we're able to do that. You got your dream.
I got to buy my dream car back. You know what I mean?
What did you buy?
I bought a 72 Nova SS.
Nice.
And for those who know what it is.
Yeah,
so,
I love it. My son does.
Yeah.
You got to ride in it.
You know, things you never thought that
You never
would
thought,
be able
you know what I
to
mean?
do.
Dude, it gave me and Debbie more freedom. Okay, this year we purchased our new chapter in our life, a second vacation home. You know what I mean?
Our first vacation home. Yeah.
First vacation home. This is my backyard is my vacation home too.
Yeah.
You know,
So
but,
that was a dream that we wasn't on the radar, but without the help of a good company running. We're making profits now. We need to enjoy it. It's not just, I don't mind working here. You know, we love it, but now he's got his thing. Now we have our cottage that we're moving in next week. We're going to make memories with our family and our kids. And that would not have been possible if we did not stop 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Stop and re-gear and change. And even with this pandemic, because it was kind of like, ooh, this is not good. But
yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah,
well,
it felt like, honestly, it felt like back then.
Well, I think
we had to reshift again.
If JMC was where it was 3 years ago and through this pandemic, for sure the door would be closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure the door would be closed. 100%.
Now you guys are coming back and the board's full, and even your own team's going, what the?
Yeah. We
right?
were
Like.
Because we had structure.
I'll be honest with you. I have fellow contractors who will call me, hey, Joe, how's business? It's slow. I said, you at the office? It's, yeah. What are you doing there? Well, what else am I supposed to be doing?
We're preparing.
Preparing for, what's coming out. You know what I mean? My guys are home, but I got to make sure when they come, I want them back. There's work on the board. So, of course, I worked hard for it. Me and Debbie here, we did now stay longer than we were supposed to. But it was to where we are now.
But you knew what to do.
Yeah.
Like let's put things in perspective, right, Debbie? Like imagine the guy Joe's talking to. The guy's like, yeah, I'm just here at home.
Yeah.
And then Joe's like, well, no, we're like his response is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was. I was shocked.
And it wasn't just one person; it was several. That they thought it was odd that we were coming into work, and what were we doing? He was pricing work, but even when that started to fizzle down, we started to reshift things, get things prepared. So when the guys came in, we were like ready to roll. So when they walked in, the board was full. We were the clients, the information, we were still communicating with our clients, and we were getting the ball ready. So if you want to get this work done, let's book it. And so we were booking projects. Whereas now these particular people that he was talking to, they come back from the office, guess what? Now they're calling going, hey, they're scrambling because they have to start now, but things are open now.
No, I started thinking outside the box. You know what I mean? Like I got custom jobs lined up, supposed to be scheduled for night work. Well, hey, guess what? The building's empty. There's nobody in the office tower. Let me come in during the day. I'll charge you day work instead of night work. I still make money regardless. No problem. We're in the job. I lined up the jobs so when we're allowed to come back to work, there's work on the board.
We were able to repivot. It was just like, you know what, if we did this 3 years ago, we were in a difficult situation, and now we're in a financially solid situation. We just retooled the company a little bit more again.
Yep.
And it's kind of like a little bump, and the guys, we feel confident, so it made our guys, when they came back, they were like, oh wow, we're ready to roll. Like, they want to.
They all said, Joe, we don't want to come back for a week or two. We want to make sure that when we come back, we come full force. Yeah. And again, 100%. They got families.
Right? Well, let's go a little bit deeper on the families, and then we'll wrap things up in 2 minutes here, okay? Which is, I remember starting with you guys, and I remember talking with your, some of your kids, and them wanting to, them questioning, man, about working for you guys. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Like, what was their perspective then? What is their perspective now?
Well, we never shared the business side with our children, right?
Challenges.
The challenges and all that, because they don't need to have all that on their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
They just look at it, mom and dad does their best. There's food on our table, you know what I mean? There's clothes on our back, you know what I mean? So, and that's one thing I try to keep it separate. What's at work stays at work. What's at home stays at home. And that being said, one of my kids did 2 years of university, very good, and he decided, I'm going to go work for dad. And I kept telling him, no, stay what you want, because I knew what I was going through, my challenges.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to put in that position, give him that position to be riding the challenge I was going.
So he went through a bit of a life change, as we all did in our family, after he got sick, and he was pretty much came to the conclusion, saying, life's too short. I love doing, the computer end of things, but my heart is calling for electrical. So he wanted to come over. Unfortunately, when he came over, it's kind of like, oh, mom and dad, I want to work with the family business. And we're like, I was devastated. I was like, oh my God, really? No, I don't think that, I was so, that gave me stress, because I was like, how can we bring him into chaos? I did not see much of a future. I don't want to give him a broken, horse. But at the same time, when he made that decision, once we start to go, and it was almost like, oh yeah, this is their company. We're always, because you didn't feel confident. But once we started with PFC and things started to change.
The timing was just wicked.
Timing was just so, we aligned so well that we felt like, wow, I feel so proud. We both do, that he wants to work in the business. And that it's actually a viable, strong business. He sees how much work we put into it, working with you and everyone. And for the first time, it's like, yeah, he can it'll be a little bit, he won't struggle as much as we did, because we'll have systems, everything's in place, but it's never ending. You always have to constantly reshift. But yeah, so he's with us, and you know what? We can be happier. And I never thought we'd ever be able to say that we can walk away and JMC will continue, because at the end of the day, we just wanted them to follow their paths. And this was huge. And
this is our dream.
Yeah.
And didn't want him to force into our dream.
Yeah.
Let him decide,
Yeah.
right? And he made his decision.
It's exciting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the reality. Your dream at the time was a nightmare.
Yes.
No, like seriously, like you had this dream, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna bring my son into this this nightmare.
I didn't want it.
Right? Now it's like I'm bringing him into, like, your son, your kids are seeing dad and mom get this cottage. They're seeing dad and mom, hey, dad's driving this car, man, it's cool. They're participating on vacations where it's like dad and mom are actually present here. Like they're not on their phone all the time. They're not like talking about business all the time. Or if they do, they're excited. True?
Financial freedom, 100%. And they're able to enjoy at this point, but they see all the work that we put into it. But now we're able to just enjoy what we should be enjoying. We deserve it. We work hard. Any, self-employed, anyone that works for themselves, you go into business to get freedom. It's a complete opposite. You go back to jail. And people don't see that. They just say, oh, wow, must be nice. Must be nice. It is. If things are going, it's fantastic. But you need to go through a lot of stuff and really know your shit.
And
yeah.
How do we know what's successful? How do you know when you're successful? When you hit rock bottom.
You really got to go. Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's hope that there's people listening in where it's like they're going, yeah, things are a little bit rocky, or, even those that are listening in going, like, things are going pretty good. Like, do you want it to be pretty good, or do you want it to be, like, freaking amazing and great and be a lot less effort? What's that, Debbie?
When it should feel, for the first time in the last few years, we can honestly say, I love being a business owner, because there's so much we get to challenge ourselves now. We allowed to challenge our employees. We're seeing things come to be. We're helping people with their electrical needs and becoming friends, and it just feels so good when you're in a good place and getting respect. People are now looking at us and going, oh,
No, we trained our team. Our team even does their own pricing. We teamed up with Joyce in the NAP, and trained our guys how to price properly for the business. So they're connected with the company. They're not just working on
they're
the
not
tools.
just clicking in and clocking in and
I
clocking
mean,
out.
I love it.
and they like it because then they say, Joe, I won that. You tell them, hey, that job you quoted. They feel so excited. They actually
I won it. I
they
got
want a
it.
job. It makes you bring them into the business.
That's one of the biggest things to get you to start letting go. Oh my God. I love it, dude. I love it. I remember at the last client event, you and I had a little chat. I give you a little hug and I'm like, Joe, too. See, part of everybody listening, we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to get you guys to give us your last little words of wisdom. But I'm gonna hitch his hard right now. The brutal reality is that you have to start letting go of that identity that you used to have, of what you defined as being an entrepreneur and what value you bring to your team and to your company. You have got to stop, some of these things that you're doing and realize that that's not the identity that you need. Your value is not in quoting. I'm sorry. Your value is not fucking running, 3-inch freaking rigid. Your value is not in freaking managing a job. It's not. It's not taking out the goddamn garbage. Your value is moving up what we call the contractor's ladder of success. Okay? So that you're going from, realizing, hey, this is startup. I got to get this foundational principles to stability. Hey man, I'm making some money. Now where can we go to scaling the business beyond you? And you've got to be moving up.
Yeah.
If you define your identity and your value to your company as doing the things as a tradesperson, you will always remain as a tradesperson. And the worst part is you're supposed to be leading your team.
Yeah.
And you won't be.
Okay?
So you can't.
That's why I say
awesome.
you got to share with your employees how to price a job for you.
Love it. Okay, so wrapping this baby up, Debbie, what would be your word of wisdom or?
I have a couple.
Okay.
One of them I really take to heart. A very smart man told me this one. You have to slow down to speed up. And anyone listening in, you say, I want this, and we felt that. I wanted to touch everything. What we learned was just take one piece of the business, systemize it, fix it, work with it, and then it will lead you to the next level. Sometimes you just don't know where to start, right?
That's right.
And listen, one thing I've learned is it's never too late to restart your life, never too late to restart the company. You're never too old. Well, I've been doing it so long. No, it's fresh. I feel like we have a fresh start. We don't regret anything that happened before. We had to go through it to get to where we are. So don't be afraid to literally restart the whole company if need be, because you will reap it in rewards. It'll be accumulative. It keeps going and going. So that's one thing.
That's awesome advice.
Don't be afraid to learn new things.
And don't be afraid to ask. We're all in this family PFC group, and we're all here to help each other. And some people, it's the old ego thing comes back. Oh, I can do it on my own. I don't need nobody. No, we all need somebody. All these major corporate companies out there, they all have someone behind them to help them out, right? They all have teams. Everyone has a team. So why not?
Look at the athletes, man. Athletes have people, mentors, coaches. They have people going, hey, dude. Because listen, here's the reality. You can't see yourself, if you're playing golf, you can't see yourself swing. You need somebody to go, no, man, you lifted your head. No, I didn't. No, you did. Look, watch. Shit, I did lift my head. I didn't know that. You've been doing that for 20 years. That's why the ball's going over here. Okay, now this is what I want you to do. I'll watch your ball for you. You hit it. Trust me, I'm going to watch it for you. All of a sudden, okay, I'm going to keep my head down because somebody else is watching it. Hits the ball. Okay, now look up. Holy shit, man. Yeah, see?
You need someone objective.
I need Debbie to be looking at our numbers always and telling me, Joe, this is where we are in our business. That's my partner. And she tells me, and then I sit down and I see where the numbers are and where do we go from there.
Yeah. Well, look, guys. Yeah, you guys have done anything. Is that's
I'm very
your
fortunate to have a nice partner with me.
Yeah.
You're kidding me? She's amazing. You guys are an amazing team. Okay, listen, thank you so much for sharing and caring, honestly, because this is your time. Everybody listening in on this podcast, these people are taking freaking time out of their life that they don't get back to share these insights with you. Do me a favor, do yourself a favor, do them the respect of like, take one of these things, these tips, apply it, reach out for help down below if you want, okay? Maybe you're not ready, but look it. You're never going to know unless you raise your hand and know what's on the other side, right?
We're still learning.
Absolutely, man. I'm still learning. You kidding me?
And you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with.
Ooh, that's a good one. Debbie, you're the next coach. I love it.
In business, people don't think that sometimes business. Well, it's important for personal, but in business, when you think about it, you don't see yourself when you're in it. But when you surround yourself with coaches, accountants, the right people on your team, they see things that you cannot see. So, and it's brought us to this level thanks to you, thanks to the team.
Mm-hmm.
We're only, just like our team, we want them to
I'm
be
going to put
good.
one small thing out there. I did a vacation, okay, with one of our suppliers. Key companies were invited only, right? High sale companies, right? Joe was invited.
Yeah.
Joe's outside. People come, Joe, what are you doing here? I said, I have the same right as you do.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
We were with the A players.
Quickly how they started surrounding me, talking to me about jobs and businesses and strategics and all that. Very interesting.
And I know you look like a rock star.
Boom,
boom.
You know what? It's interesting. It's in how people see you.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's never too late.
And then it totally did. Come back, then you get phone calls coming up.
Yeah. They see us differently now.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, man. Guys, awesome.
So be safe, everybody there, okay?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Okay, cool.